Are we live? Hello. Welcome everyone.
Hello.
Hey, I'm live and I can hear myself. It's working. Ooh, recursion. Ooh, fun. Anyway, today, let me make my announcement first. That'll help me. Just link to our Twitch channel here, and we're going to be doing some text editor stuff. Working on light. Hopefully that'll just draw people in because I don't know what it is. Perfect. Chill stream today. Perfect. All right, we've made our announcement. I just got the notification on my phone, so we know it works. And today we're going to be working a little bit on light, seeing if we can't get something done. There's a lot to do. I have no plans for today. It's really just going to be a chill stream, hanging out, working on the text editor. I've been working on this for far longer than I like to think about, and it's coming along nicely, however. Initially, we followed a tutorial written by what appears to be a professor or a grad student from a university. And here, I'll link to the GitHub. I can also get rid of this. Perfect. There is the link in chat. But yeah, this is what we're working on today. And as you can see, we followed this tutorial originally, which is a really nice tutorial. And it has the history. It's like, it was wonderful. It was a great tutorial to get into building my own Lisp. I didn't really like Mal, personally. Just, I felt it was too intimidating to get into. But yeah, today's a chill stream. We're just going to be working on the text editor. Last night, I went in and added some stuff. I added new built-ins. Here, we can take a look at those. Yeah, that's right. And I also worked on the standard library a bit. So let's take a look at the Light Lisp language itself. So Light is a text editor with a built-in dynamic programming language, and it's called Light Lisp. There's a standard library because it kind of contains most of the stuff that you need to have a functioning text editor, if that makes sense. So here is the beginning of the standard library. You can see we can evaluate other files as well. Currently, you do have to start it from the base of the repository, but we're working on that. Either way, excuse me, let's see if we can't look at something in the basics. So you're going to see the word car a lot. It does not mean a literal car. For historical reasons, the original hardware had contents of the address register portion or part, and then you had contents of the, whoops, what is it, destination register portion. And with these two, basically they had a single CPU register. That's, let's say it was like this large, right? And they stored the address, like in this offset. Whoops, I spelled that wrong. And they stored like the destination here. So then they had these macros built into the assembly language that they wrote for the Lisp machine. And they would basically say, okay, this gets you this part and this gets you this part. And effectively, these were mapped to the left side of a pair and the right side. So if you had left and right, this is a pair with the symbol left on the left and the symbol right on the right. And this is how you'd write that in Lisp. The dot implies that instead of continuing a list, how you would normally write it. So if you just write this, that actually expands to something like this, left dot right dot nil. Because lists can be formed from pairs in this way right here, where you chain them together until you reach nil, in which case that's the end of your list. It's kind of like the null terminator in C. And that's kind of the basics of Lisp. So when you see car, it actually just means contents of the address register portion of the hardware thing. So it's just the left side. Car is the left, and then contents of the destination register is kadir, and that's the right side. The nice thing about that is they're fast, easy to say, and they distinguish it very easily. Like if you're doing a care or a catter or a kadir or a car, those are all different things, and they can be heard phonetically different, if that makes sense. But yeah, one of the basics of Lisp stands for list processing. So one things you want to do for lists is fold them. If you don't know what folding is, here, let's just go take a look at the place I linked. It's probably important. Oh yeah, it's great. So folding, here's a fold right. Ooh, that's small. Well, that sucks. We're going to keep it small. Also, this is licensed to whoever it's licensed to. I don't own any of this shit. This is Wikipedia, obviously. So folder stands for fold right, and you take this list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that ends with an empty slot, right? And you apply some, I think this is just denotes a pair. So this is the left side, this is the right. So this is how I was writing it with parentheses. They're writing it with this tree syntax and colons. So this colon denotes a pair, and you can see that the pairs continue and hold a value on the left and the rest of the list on the right, if that makes sense. So then, when you fold, you apply a function at each one of these pairs. And then you give an initial value of z. When you get to the last pair that has nothing, that's what you use instead, if that makes sense. So then, to fold right, you apply function to 1, you apply function to 2, you apply function to 3, you apply function to 4, you apply function to 5. Finally, you get to 5, you need another one, so you use z instead of the rest of the list, if that makes sense. So z is basically your return value, your last value. You can also fold left, which is basically just do the same thing but in reverse, if you can see how that works. And you place the initial value at the beginning with the first one. So that's just a right and left fold of a list. That's a mathematical concept, but you can do it in Lisp because Lisp is a list processor. And yep, this is very wrong. Don't listen to that. Docstring. But to fold left, you take some function, the initial value, so that's f and z, and then you just apply it to some list, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this case. And we could actually, I think if I go here, I should be able to just print the output of this. E. Yeah, so we could print fold left on, let's see, we want to add right? We can do that. We need an initial value. I'm going to give it 0 so that we don't change our answer. And then some list. So we're going to pass some list. So we use parentheses to do that, right? To denote a list. So we can call just the same list they had. The problem here is that the evaluator is meant to evaluate lists, and it treats the first position, the first element, as the operator. That's why you can use print in this way, and foldle, a function definition. You can put it in the operator position and it will recognize, oh, you're not just saying this is a symbol, you're saying what this evaluates to, the closure, in the operator position means that we can apply it. So we apply the operator with the following arguments. The problem is that arguments are then evaluated because plus is just a symbol. So plus gets evaluated into a closure, which is the actual function with the body and the arguments. 0 is self-evaluating, it's a number, so it gets evaluated to itself, the integer 0. But this is a list, and it will treat 1 as an operator symbol because it doesn't know what else to do. So to fix that, you can do what's called quoting. You can put a single quote in front of an atom, which is a single Lisp object. And that allows us to pass this list through without evaluating it. It will not be evaluated. The result is just passed through. Don't mind me, just drinking some water. But yeah, that's basically, this should work. So now, when we run Light the next time, which I believe I have to open this, you can see that I've got a lot of build trees, but I think I can just build like that. There's no work to do, so it's already built. And then, oh look, I've already been doing testing. Thank you, new shell. I don't need to test script mode. I'd like to run the standard. I'd like to run my configuration, actually, which runs the standard library. So when we run the text editor, we now get to see Light. Here it is. Here, for you guys, let's change the font size. So I'm going to write out the Lisp command to do it right here in the file, the buffer that I'm visiting, and then I can hit Alt-E to evaluate the current line, and hey look, now I've got a bigger font. Wonderful. You can also just change fonts entirely. But it's not better in my opinion. I think the ones it ships with are pretty good. They're all under the Apache license. They're not too bad. Yeah, that looks good. We'll go with that for now. Oh, but now that we've done that, we don't need to save that into the file. By the way, this is just my testing file with random sentences that I can edit. So don't judge me. I'm just a developer. But this is the text editor. You can do a prompted read to get text from the user. So this is a function I wrote in Lisp that prompts the user for a file path. So let's say like strima.txt. And here we're in a new buffer. You can see that we're in the buffer with the path strima.txt. And we're on the 0th point byte. If I start typing, you can see that, well, I guess not as I type, but as the functions that navigate, you can see that that is actually your point byte, your cursor offset into the file. And if I enter a new line, you can see it gets one bigger. It's amazing. You can press Ctrl S to save, like in every text editor ever. you could also just call save current buffer like that. And that does the same thing. Control S, just the only difference is it outputs a saved message so that the user doesn't freak out. Like, did it save? But yeah, this is the text editor. It's obviously very simple right now, and it's not the prettiest, but the only dependencies are for the graphical libraries, which is SDL and SDLTTF. But there's also a REPL version that doesn't require any libraries, and it's all completely homebrew, except for the C library. So this is the text editor. Heyo. And that's right, we called print. So this will print to standard output. Since we are on Windows, and this is a GUI application, we have to close it until we see it. But hey, look. What is this 15 doing there, huh? It seems like the list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here, let's do the same drawing they did, right? Okay, so we're effectively going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah. So we're going to have to start with the 1. Which is going to be, ooh. This is going to be fun. We're going to do some graph drawing in text. And we added plus. And we add 1 to the result of, let's see, this is another plus. And then that would be connected to 2 more things. I'm getting it now. Whoa. My bad. So effectively, when we're folding this list, this is the control flow of the program, I would say, or just the mathematical representation of what we're doing. Effectively, foldle, if we can go look, is it in basics? I think it's in basics. We say if some list. Now, if, it works like other ifs. There's an if, a condition, a then, where does this end? Here? Nope, here. And then an else, right? And then you end the if. So if some list is not nil, that's what if checks for. Any value that is not nil is seen as true. It's kind of like C, where anything that isn't 0, that's true. So if this is non-nil, then we foldle, but we're in the foldle, so this is a recursive call to itself, as you can see. And what ends up happening is that the first thing that gets evaluated is the initial value. That gets returned when some list is nil, right? So effectively we call foldle, call foldle, call foldle, call foldle, call foldle, right? We do 5 recursive calls in a row. And then we go, oh, the list, it's now nil. So instead of returning foldle again, we return 0. But with that returning 0, whoops, keep doing that. We can now that we've returned an initial value, we're going to pop back up 1 foldle, so we'll be within here, right? And what we do is call some function, the function we were given, and we give it initial value, and we get the left side of the list, which is effectively the first element off of the list. And then the list we give it is the rest of the list. So the list with the first element not on it anymore. So this would be like 2, 3, 4, 5, and this would be 1, and then this would be 1, 2, and this would be effectively 3, 4, 5. It keeps going. So then we keep getting the number off. So we add, some function, well, we passed plus. So then we will add the initial value, which was returned eventually by Foldle. So 0. And then we get car of some list, which we already did so many recursive calls. The car, the left side, is the end of the list. So then that's 5 and 0. And then here's where we add 5 and 0. You call it with you jump out one stack, one recursive stack, and you go back and you say, okay, we added 5 and 0. That equals 5. Okay, now add 4 to it. That's 9. Now add 3, 12. I think we all get what happens now. And that's how we got 15. So as you can see, Lisp can sum an entire list very easily, but you could just as easily apply some crazy transformation of, like, all you need to do is have your integer, and you could say, well, I want to return the integer times 24, but then divide that by, let's say, the integer plus 3, right? And you could just as easily call something like that. And I don't even know what this will result in. But we're going to see. Could not bind arguments. Too many arguments passed. Wonderful. To who? Oh, we're passing 2. So we need int 1 and int 2. Sure, why not? And look at that. We got 0. Isn't it a miracle? So we just got our initial value back. Probably because of this multiplication right here. And 0 over anything is nothing. Wonderful. But yeah, you can apply very complex functions to an entire list of objects very quickly and efficiently. And because of things like continuations and tail call recursion, you never actually have to grow the stack. So there's never a stack overflow, even if you recurse 10,000 times. Unless you write code in a very bad way. But if you use tail call recursion like this, it's pretty wonderful. If there are any questions, by the way, just let me know in chat. I'll try and answer anything I can. If you're not familiar with Lisp, I can direct you to the README, which has not only build instructions, but also a section entirely dedicated to light Lisp. So you can learn about, like, atoms and what an atom means and what the word, like, why is it used, right? Sorry, I just knocked my shelf. You can see all the different types, which is actually missing one. Let's add that. So that should probably be like that, to take advantage of how org mode works. This way we can do a definition and or a word and its definition, I guess a term. So a buffer is a I don't even know how to say this. Let's go look at what a buffer is, right? So truthfully, a buffer is just an atom with the buffer type. But what that means is that the value is a buffer pointer. So let's go see what a buffer pointer is. A buffer contains an environment, a path, a rope, a point byte, and a mark byte. And the highest bit denotes activation. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we're going to need to mark over 9 billion bytes anytime soon. If we're like here, it would be a problem because we would have what, 16,000? Either way. So this is your cursor offset into the file. This is like your selection offset. So in Emacs, it works the same way. So you see my cursor, I can toggle the mark or activate it and also set it to the current cursor position. Then I can move the cursor, but the mark byte stays where it is. And this region, the selected region, is between these two. And if you go behind it, it's the other way. My text editor works the same way. It's a little broken, but it does work the same way. Or should. So with that, we basically we have a buffer. I don't know how else to describe it. I've known Emacs for too long. What is this? It contains a rope, which is like the editing structure that contains all the contents of the file. So it contains a path and a file contents. So I'm just going to refer to it in the simple case as an opened file, right? I mean, from a user's perspective, it'd probably just be an open file. That's most of the time what buffer means to them, rather than the specific structure in the programming of the text editor. So we're going to go with an opened file that may be edited through Light Lisp. Sure. It also may be edited by the key map when you're in graphical mode. We also have to figure out like how the key map is going to work when in the REPL, because I would love for key maps to work in the REPL, but they don't currently because we use fgets. We'd have to use fgets and then go byte by byte or something and interpret that as input, but that wouldn't work because we accept multiple bytes as input. I don't know. We'll get there eventually. Probably have to have like a translation station where fgets input in the REPL is converted to like byte string input. Oh god, that's gonna be horrible. Wonderful. So the buffer type is an open file that may be edited in Light. I'm just gonna say in Light, in the Lisp interpreter and text editor. Because when you're in the REPL, you can use like buffer insert and stuff like that. Yeah. Let's do that. So I think that's good enough documentation. Do I mention types anywhere else? Nope. That's literally it. Wonderful. Oh yeah, and okay. Geez, I am getting distracted. Anyway, there's a standard library, and most of what it does right now is set up key bindings for QWERTY, because there's a lot of keys on keyboards, you know? Like, you have to handle insert. What does insert do? What does delete do? Because I want people to be able to use these keys in the text editor. I don't. I don't even want them on my keyboard, but some people use them every day. So I've got to handle all these keys. There's all the numpad keys. And did you know that numpads are like horrible in their encoding? Like some things are just like the actual keyboard scan codes. Some of them refer to a literal sign, but then others are named and the sign can refer to anything. So you can't rely on divide being a slash. Divide may be like a Unicode character. So it's It's a rough one. Numpad encoding. Also, there are numpad keyboard scan codes for A, B, C, D, and F. Has anyone ever seen letters on a numpad? Because I have not. If you have, please let me know. I would love to know. Let me know in the Discord down below. It's linked right at the top there of all the links on the right side. And you can get all glorious updates and announcements that I make about this stream. Today is a different stream, by the way. They're normally not this unstructured. Normally I have a plan, but today's just a chill stream. We're just kind of working on my text editor. I'll answer any questions anyone has. I'm not looking to get stuff done today. I'm looking to just relax. Have fun looking at code I've written before, try to understand it. Here's the code for evaluating a line. Evaluate string is a built-in, which means that it's implemented in the source code, the C source code, but it can actually be called from Lisp, which is wonderful. But this allows us to evaluate any, like just an arbitrary string as Lisp, which is very handy, because then we can write like buffer current line, which just returns the current line of the current buffer, right? And then we can just evaluate that, and that's evaluate the current line. It's very incredible how smooth it is. There's also evaluate prompted, that's right. You can evaluate just anything the user types in as Lisp. I don't think I have that bound anywhere, do I? Yeah, I don't. I should bind that to a standard key. I don't know what I should make it. Maybe like control backslash? But that would be hard on ISO keyboards. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, here's the text editor. What did I do? That's right, this is what I did. Oh yeah, I did backward and forward word. So let's try that out. Because I wrote that last night pretty late. Hopefully it works well. I'm just going to add that change font size really quickly into my config. Ooh, you know what would be fun? Let's edit the config from the text editor itself. Wonderful. You can see that these boxes at the end here, these are actually /r, because this is a Windows file. You can actually insert these yourself using Shift-Enter. So you can enter just a new line, a Unix new line using Enter, or you can press Shift-Enter and enter a /r/n. So it's not the best, obviously, but it does work. So that's the cool part. The also weird part is you can type in between the /r and the /n. I should probably fix that when that byte is detected, but that's just a Lisp thing we can add to forward character or forward byte or whatever. So we would just like to change the font size, ideally, really, like large. And let's just do that now. Should also, well, maybe that's a little big. I think that's big enough. Whoops. Okay, we'll save this file, and then we're going to close it, and hopefully nothing broke. Things did break. Probably with new lines. Oof. I opened another Emacs. I didn't mean to do that. It's here now. Thank you, Emacs. All right. I just realized you guys are looking at Emacs. That's embarrassing. This is one of the worst streams in the world. I called it chill stream, but in reality, it's just the worst stream. Oh God. Okay, what did I break? I broke my config new line somehow. Yes, reread. Lisp mode, please. So white space mode. Everything looks fine. I don't see why this would be an issue. Everything has a new line at the end. Emacs doesn't complain that it's a Unix file. We'll just rewrite these new lines in case. We'll see if that fixes it, or if I broke something bigger. Can I not change font size during configuration time? Ooh. I know what's happening. You can't. That's unfortunate. How do we deal with that? So the reason for this is actually just control flow of the program. It's very simple. We first evaluate the files we're given as arguments, like config.lite, and then we enter the GUI. So if we try and call to the GUI library and it's not initialized, that's gonna break things. Okay. That's unfortunate. Well, so I guess, is it possible we could initialize the GUI without entering it? But that would make scripts run a lot slower. I don't want that. So effectively, currently, that's not allowed in the configuration, which is very funny. So you can't call to the graphical stuff until it's up and running, which makes sense. So I guess what I would have to do is initialize, so we can tell this only happens if scripts aren't being initialized, right? So we could just add into here and say, hey, if we're not scripting anything, then we should also initialize the light graphics, the light GUI, because we may need it in the configuration by changing the font or the font size. Okay, let's do some refactoring. We found something to do, everybody. Okay, so we're gonna rewrite these in some Doxygen format just while we're here. So we would like to write initialize GUI for SDL implementation. Oh, I hate, okay. Oh, wonderful. We don't need a language server. Do GUI. So, oh Christ, create GUI. That was a switch case and a half, was not? Whew. Oh, hail. So we want to do, this doesn't show the screen, does it? So create GUI is initialize GUI. We don't need another one. I should have looked at this first. I got a little bit ahead of myself. But we need to call this. Okay, we can do that. We can do that. Perfect. Sure. You guys snuggle up next to each other. I like when you get to put like two functions that are kind of opposites right next to each other. You just get to snuggle them up, and they're like two peas in a pod. It's two little peas, two little pods. I guess one big pod, two little peas. Create GUI. So when we enter the light GUI, we must call create GUI. Where do we do that? That must be in, I don't, API.c. That's where it is. Okay. Yep. Yep, that would be that. So we do call it. Ugh. I wish I had, do I have blamer mode? Who did this? Actions. Show commits adding lines. Ooh, let's try that. Blaming. So this was added by me when I, this was the first thing it was just part of the file. Hilarious. Because I accidentally didn't commit it. This is an interesting blamer mode. I kind of like it. Cool. Quit blaming. I like Maggot so much. Maggot is the best Git interface in the world. So we could just have this silently. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I wish you could like delete local variables off the stack when you don't want them anymore. Because when I'm in this while loop, we don't need this stuff anymore. And I know we could technically do like a nested function call and it would all get cleaned up, but then where's the fun in that? We'd have like 3-line functions for everything. So now, if status does not equal 3, right? Where did I see that? Why am I? It's got to be somewhere here. Okay. See, that's the only place we return 3 from create GUI. So if it's already created, we return 3. We should just do an enum here, but it doesn't matter. 3 means, yeah, we should just do an enum here. GUI.h. My mind blanked for a second. Should I type def it? I don't think I need to type def the enum. I always forget how to declare enums. Do you put the name here? Or is that just for the type def? So we're gonna say create GUI. Okay. Create GUI return value? Sure, why not? Nothing really matters, right? Why not? And then this is going to be create GUI okay equals 0. What was the one we needed? So create GUI create GUI already created, I guess. Equals 3. What else do we got? We have return 1 if we cannot initialize. That's pretty much all the only thing else we got. So failure. We'll just assume failure is anything that isn't these two. How about that? So this should probably not say that. And we're gonna have create GUI okay. So if it returns that, then this would be successful creation of GUI. Sure. Create GUI. Attempt to initialize and create GUI. Sure, good enough. Create GUI already created. Cannot create two GUIs. Man, this is riveting stuff we're doing today. Any value not specified below is assumed to be a failure. Wonderful. So this is the wrong spot. We also should now return these. Yeah, that one. Yep. Okay. We've enummed it. Can we enummed it here as well? Where? Not here. Here. So if status does not equal already created, sure. I'm gonna flip those, but yeah. That's fine. So if the status is not okay, and the status is not already created, then return 69. Perfect. Perfect. And then we can initialize the GUI context. If that doesn't work, return 69 plus 1. Why not? Just so they're distinguishable. I guess we should return 70 so you can search for it in grep. Then we just say do the loop forever until we're done. Then we basically exit back to main. Okay, so one iteration of the light graphics runtime loop. Okay. That's pretty bog. Hopefully this gets inlined. If not, this is a case for performance improvement. Either way, so now we should be able to call create GUI beforehand. Also, could I not just not call it? But I want to make sure it's done. There's nothing wrong with calling it twice, I don't think. So when we're not in script mode and initializing things for light graphics, let's just also do the thing that we just set up, create the GUI. Is that it? I guess I should say like int status. I don't pass it anything. Why is it implicit? Well, okay, now it's no longer implicit. So the status equals create GUI. If oh Christ. I should make a macro. Sure, just return 420. Just so if it happens now, we can distinguish that it happens. So then create the GUI, and then evaluate all the files we're given, and the configuration file at the home path. Where do we assume light path to be? Oh, light path is the configuration file. Okay. I was like, wait, how do we get the... I didn't do that yet, but that makes sense. So we now create the GUI. Hopefully, this means that we can go back. That also means that it's not my new line code that messed everything up, like I initially assumed. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so yep, give me 2 new lines. Change the font size to 28 on startup, please. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna open it again. Hey, look, we just fixed it. That's amazing. That's incredible. Can I resize the window programmatically? Is that a thing I can do in... I mean, I know I can do it in SDL, so let's just make a built-in that connects the two. Also, we just used the text editor to configure itself. That was pretty awesome. So, what are we doing? What are we doing? What did I just say I was going to do? I completely forgot. Oh yeah, we want to resize the window programmatically. Maybe even like maximize it. Can we do that? We have to look at graphics, SDL here, right? So I guess I don't need to go here. I'm all over the place today, man. Let's see, what do I do? What do I do? Also, let me just make sure. I screwed this up yesterday. Hey, I did send it. Amazing. So yesterday I streamed, but I did not send an announcement. I failed. But I did end up sending messages because, hey, look, we trained our bot, our suicidal bot. It works now. It works in the sense that it wants to die, that is. So we would like to ask if SDL2, how do I resize the window? Programmatically. That looks like it. So this just changes, this just changes the size. This doesn't change. So display mode has a whole bunch of stuff. Including a pixel format. Okay. That's not what we need. I was hoping that, I was hoping set window display mode would be like full screen, maximize, that stuff. But this looks very nice. Okay, very cool. So this sets the full screen mode. This sets the window size. I think we just should make some built-ins that connect these through. So we're going to need to define them in the header first. So we're going to have, I guess, the same type of thing as these. I think they should be unsigned, size T's. Is there any reason to have these not? So this is going to be change window size. Be cool if we could change window position. That might get a little crazy. Change window full screen. Sure. And then we should have an enum. Like graphics underscore full screen mode. Sure. I don't know why I always name them like macros, but I do. That's it's a habit of mine. So we would like to say we're just going to map them where 0 is windowed. So full screen mode windowed. Max, but we're just going to go desktop, sure. I don't really care what these are. I just want windowed to be like easy as the default to just pass 0 if you don't know what to pass. So, and then we're gonna need actual full screen, right? So this is gonna be like, what should I call this one? The actual full screen. They call it full screen desktop. It's already full screen mode, so maybe this is just screen mode. I think that's a little better. Screen mode, full screen. And then this will take that. I'll just leave a parameter name in, it doesn't matter. All right, let's go implement these. So change window full screen. This shouldn't be too hard. All we have to do, what was it? Set window full screen? And we can just do a switch on mode. I think if I had Egglet open, I could auto-populate this, but it's fine. Desktop case. I think I wrote them like that. Whoops. Wonderful. So then I just need the SDL. What is it? These flags. So it's a uint32. Flags equals 0. So windowed, we don't have to do shit. When it comes to, okay, full screen or desktop, SDL window full screen. So flags or equals SDL window full screen. Hopefully this doesn't like choke at compilation. Whoa. So graphics window full screen, desktop 0 for windowed mode. Let's do it. Yeah, we'll just do that. That's fine. So the text editor window is G window for global window. So our global window can now be set to all these different modes. Does this compile? It does compile. Well, that's wonderful. Now we just need to call it, I guess, and see if it works. So once we get everything up and running, I guess we can do this after we create GUI now. Wonderful. Once we do this, we need to call whatever we just did, change window full screen. We would like the graphics screen mode. Let's just try desktop. Let's see what the hell happens, right? Recompile. Run that again. Okay. That definitely worked. It was a little scary there at the beginning before it rendered anything because we do it at a weird time. But hey, that worked. We just went into full screen mode. Wonderful. There is no way to exit, which is a bit of an interesting debacle. That doesn't work. I didn't build anything like that in yet, so I think we're gonna have to Alt F4. That was amazing. I have to add like a quit built in that can exit the program. It's all doable now. Or if I create an actual built-in here, so here's how we define things that can be called from Lisp but are written in C. So if we don't want it to say change font size, we can select all of those. Oops. Change font size, excuse me. And then we can get rid of it, and we want to say change window. I guess I could say window mode. I'm just going to change window full screen. I think that's more descriptive, at least for me. So we define it in the header. Now we can go define it in the implementation. So this is the actual symbol that you'll call from Lisp. See, here's change font size that we used earlier. It's got a doc string, so you can tell people how to use it. It still has ways to go, but it's not too bad. So we're just going to accept n, and then we're going to say n is 0, set screen mode to window. We can also like accept symbols, I guess, but we're not there yet because we could check if it's the integer 0 or the symbol like windowed, but we don't need to do that yet. I'll just add that as a to-do. Perfect. Now we don't have to worry about it. Whoa. Okay, so now we can say windowed. We're just going to keep with SDL, what they say. We're just going to do that. Okay. So we kind of got this scaffolded out. We know how it's going to work. I have a macro to ensure one argument. Wonderful. So now I can ensure type. So I need to get the atom, we're just going to call it n like I did up there. This is going to be the car of the arguments. So we need the left side of the arguments list, which will give us the first argument. And the only argument in this case, because we just ensured there's only one. I should probably, when I ensure arguments, also create atoms from them and like name them arg1, arg2, arg3, so that I don't have to do this in every single one, but it's fine. If not integer, so if n is not an integer, then it's a type error. You just return a type error. And let's see. Yeah, so now that we have n, we need to convert n into the value we need. So we need a graphics screen mode. Default to windowed, say the integer value of n is 1, then mode will equal something else. So mode will equal desktop according to our thing above, and then we can say else if blah. Need to copy this conditional back here. That's should be all caps. There we go. Now I can just call change window full screen with mode. So now from Lisp, we should be able to set full screen or not. Dope. While we're here, we're just gonna create the one for size as well, changing window size. Didn't need to copy all of that. It's fine. Width and height. Attempt to change size of window to width by height. I think that's descriptive enough. We're going to have two arguments. They're going to be width and height. So to get the next element in the list, we need to get the rest of the list without the first element, and then get the first element of that list. So that's how you do some list traversal with car and cadder, car and cdr. This together, this car with a cdr inside of it, that's referred to as a cadder. And normally you have macros for that, but I'm just lazy. So these, of course, must both be integers. Width and height must both be integers. Eventually, we'll probably have to accept which window in here once we can create multiple windows. But we don't need to do that yet, so yay. And really, all we need to do is change the window size to the two integers we now have. Whoops. Right, then we can say int status equals that. We'll say result is nil, aka a failure. We don't even have to keep track like that, really. We'll just do the true value. So, if this returns 0, true, otherwise nil. That's what this built-in will return. I think that works well. I'm going to do the same thing down here. And then default it to nil. And then also we don't need to return to do. We need to return error none. Haha. Glad I caught that. So now we should be able to change the window size and change the window mode. So now let's try and do that. Compile. Wonderful, we have errors. Undefined reference to change window size. It's right here. Did I never? Oh, I never implemented that. Haha. So basically all I have to do is set window size. It's not gonna be rocket science. Alright, so then we just need to do SDL, set window size? I don't know. We have it open. Window width height. Perfect. Does it say what it returns? Void. Void, okay. So what if you put like 1,000,000 in here? Is it just not... Is there a different way to check for an error? Do I have to SDL error? What? You tell me this isn't going to work on Mac OS very well? So we can get the drawable size. I could technically like get the size and then the drawable size and then compare them. But I don't think... Okay, crazy. Let's try it out. I guess it just works. So now I need to say this does not return anything. Also, did I screw that up? I did. This does not return anything, as it's screaming at me for. Sure. Make the T symbol. Why not? And then we just need to call it. We don't actually need to do anything like that. Okay. That should go better. Wonderful. Ah, you see something I forgot. To take out my test. That's number one. Yep. It works. But then there's another thing. In that, I need to add the built-ins that I just created into the actual environment. Oh, only if light graphics. So I need to do down here. Something like this. So this effectively defines the correct things in the environment, the Lisp environment. So I need change font to change to change window size. Now I need change font size. Change window full screen. Sure. So now those should all be defined. I really should have an automatic way to do all this, but I don't. Also, I don't know why I keep building from Emacs. It builds here. Hey, look. Okay. Now we can try. We'll just go into a new buffer and write change window size to 800 by 800. Here we go. Are we ready? Okay. Did that work? I think that may have worked. Hey. Ooh, that's cool. That's very fun. I like how much control I have over that. So you can just set your resolution like that. Cool. Is that what I did? Change window full screen to true full screen. Oh my god, it's flipping out. I broke things, guys. Oh god. So whatever you just saw, I also just saw. That was incredible. My screen flipped the... That was incredible. It's just flickering now. Okay, I'm going to show you guys Emacs so it's not flickering. I'm going to... Woo! So we had some errors. That was incredible. So maybe we don't need this one yet. It's a little buggy. Oh Christ. Let's try the other one. Hopefully it opens. All right, now open test buffer. Change window size. Coolness. We should also have set like change window position, but We'll get there. Okay, let's try one. One works. One works. Back to 0, back to 1. Okay, those work, but I wish you guys could see that. My screen just like becomes all different sorts of rectangles, and there's an it's incredible. It's incredible. Lots of errors. Okay, so this full screen mode is not needed. Just to be clear. So we're just gonna have this change window mode. Okay, we're gonna change it. And it's gonna be windowed, and we're gonna call this full screen. All right, now we can go to GUI.h, get all gooey with ourselves. Okay, and then we can go to SDL.c and remove this horrible broken full screen. Wonderful, wonderful. And can I just have default fall through here? That should be good enough for me. So now we cannot change to that horrible broken full screen. It's probably my fault, to be fair, but still. We change this to change window mode, that's fine. We can change this to change window mode as well. Just have to go to H. Right, mode instead of full screen, and then environment, and right. There we go. Little Emacs magic. A little bit of an error. Still ran. So a compilation error, SDL.c. I got rid of the wrong one. I believe that's what I meant to do. Yeah, we're just gonna call that change window mode. Also, this should be graphics window mode if it's... Is it? Okay, we're just gonna do it now. Wonderful. So now that's done. Gonna have to go back to SDL. All right, that should be those two. The built-ins then deal with it. I think that's handled. I'm gonna write this in a little more English style. If N is 1, set screen mode to full screen. Otherwise, set it to window. I think that more accurately describes its function. So now we can change the window mode from Lisp. Nope. We can't. Why not? Change window mode. It's up here. Now. Yeah, now. Okie dokie. So let's go into test.light. Cool. We can evaluate that. It works. Now I'd like to change window mode. Okay. Cool. Very cool. I'm just happy. It's working over and over. Doesn't matter if you call it same one. I'd probably make optimizations, like if we're already in the same mode, don't do it. I could probably also get like get window mode and get window size. That's not a bad idea. How would I think about doing that? I could have a built-in, but the result is a single thing. I mean, I guess we could return a pair. Like we could return 1280, 720 like that. That's fair. So let's do it. Let's add queries for window size, right? It's not really a reason not to. And then I think that's just about it. Is it not? Take a look at get window size. Yep, that's how it works. We're gonna ignore the drawable size stuff for now. Sure. I think I'll just return that. I think I'm gonna have to do something like this. So let's test it out, right? Figure out how this is all working. We want to return a window mode. How does get window full screen? Set window full screen, get window display mode. It seems like a lot more complicated data that we don't need. We just want to get this. How do we get this? So it just says, it gives us one of these. So we loop over. how many display modes there are. And it tries to get display mode into display mode. But none of that contains the flags I'm worried about. You know? None of these contain the full screen or not. So I don't know if there is a way to query this in SDL. So we'd have to keep track of it ourselves in Light, which is fine. That's also doable. Get the current window mode. I guess, yeah, for now we're gonna implement this as the graphical backend, but eventually this will just all be in Lisp. It'll be fun in the future to remove stuff. So how do I can't get window mode, I've discovered. Did I already GUI.h that? I didn't. I think that's how that works. Wonderful. One more built-in. All right. So this is going to be just window size. Nice and simple. We're going to ensure no arguments. Return a pair with the left side. Return a pair containing the screen, the graphical window size. Yeah, that's good enough for me. We don't have to do any type checking. We just have to stay. We allocate 2 different atoms. And they're both going to be integers of some sort. I guess we're going to need something like this. Equals 0. Okay. Now we just have to call our little window size function. Pass in the addresses. So now this will write into this stack memory. That should be fine. Then we make an integer out of it. And that's what we return. Yep, let's go try it. Add it into the environment. Did I add it to H? I didn't add it. I didn't add it to the implementation. So now, hopefully, so are these warnings? Warning, warning, warning. Okay, warnings. What are the warnings? I'm worried. Incompatible pointer types. Of what? Int pointer. Int pointer. Okay. So something like this. This way we copy from something smaller into something larger. That's not ideal. It's fine though. That worked. Very cool. Still works. And now we just get the window size. Perfect. Look at that. 1280 by 720. That's beautiful. So if I wanted to, I could say, ooh, I don't know if I can do that. How many, I'm just gonna print how many pixels there are. So we're gonna need the car of the window size. Okay, I have my delimiters backwards, I think. Going backwards, you should run into opening parentheses, and going forwards, you should run into closing ones. Should you just run into either one? I don't know. I'm still figuring stuff out. The forward-backward word stuff is the most complicated. So the car of the window size, right? That should be 1280. So we get the window size, a pair. We get the left side of it. And then we multiply, right? We multiply by the car of the cadre, which is also just cadre. Of the same window size. Hopefully it doesn't change while we're doing that. All right, let's try it. Built-in evaluate string. Do we not have cadre? We should have cadre. There's a problem there. Let's see. So we're trying to multiply that and that. Ah, we do need another one of those. Let's just try and do it without. It says type error. Ah, it's a me mistake. Normally, to get the right side of a list, like if we had 1280 720 like this, then you would use cadre of the above list, that, and you'd get 720. But we don't have that. We have 1280.720. So we really just need the cadre. Will point us right there. Okay. That's on me. But now, there it is. 921,600 pixels are being rendered each frame. Which really only happens every time you make an input. That's cool. We can now get pixel size. We could probably do like cool maths. I guess we should get the width of a character. We should just be able to measure any given string and see what size it would be rendered at. But that's a lot. This should probably be committed. So we have 3 new built-ins: window size, change window size, and change window mode. We made it so that when we enter the GUI, it can already be created. We don't need to create it right there. GUI.h includes GUI.h. Definitely discard that. Jeez. Did I write that? That must have been a language server thing. Right? What did we do in the README? That seems worth it. Okay, so we're going to keep the README. going to keep the GUI. Means we're keeping the SDL. Also, I just thought of something we can fix. We no need, no. Size T will always be bigger than int, or at least the same size. So, I mean, on modern computers, I'm sure there's some 16-bit computer that likes to differ, some 8-bit, but size T should be the same as integer. So, or at least bigger. So we can just cast and not worry about overriding, because size of int is smaller or equal to size of size T. Does this still work, I guess? Is something I should test? Ooh. It doesn't, because I used the wrong names. See? That's why you test. All right, let's check it out. What was I checking out? Window size. Yeah, seems to work. Cool. It works. We can get the current window size in Lisp. Very cool. Yep, fix that. Yes, allow it to be created. 3 new built-ins. I kind of want to have this separate in a separate commit, but it doesn't matter. So these 3 files. I don't think any of that's too insane. The code looks just fine. Some of these are literally just straight through to SDL, but you get that when you're creating a graphical library on top of a graphical library. That works. So literally just kind of everything we did. Wonderful. Just so you guys know, head to that Discord down below. You'll get notifications whenever I go live. Normally my streams are not like this. I normally have a plan. I'm working towards an agenda, a program. We're going to finish it. Today is just a chill stream. We're just working on the text editor. I may have not even set the name of the stream properly. It's really just a chill day today. Yeah, see, we didn't set the name of the stream. Chill stream. Working on text editor. Perfect. See, it's a chill day. We're not putting that work in today, but if you do want to see me when I do put that work in, be sure to hit that Discord up down below. You can join a group and be notified whenever I go live. It'll be awesome, I promise. We'll have a lot of fun. Check out my VODs too. I created a suicidal bot completely from scratch in C. It was it was a lot of fun. Yeah. I think this is a good commit. It's quite large, but it's fine. It's kind of just all over the place. And we're gonna summarize it as 3 new built-ins regarding graphical windows. Perfect. That's good enough. So, with these 3 new built-ins, we can now get the size of the window, pixels. I don't want to say in pixels because it's not necessarily in pixels. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We can now get the size of a window. HP size. I should say the window, because we only allow one. Oh, but yeah, if you want to check this out, make sure to follow. You'll get notified when I go live. Make sure to join the Discord. You'll get more solid notifications when I go live. You get to chat, hang out with everybody that watches. It's dope. But we're going to be ending here soon. We did the work I think that I want to get done for today. It's been a chill, easy one where we're kind of just meandering through the code base. So we can now get the size of the window, change the size of window, as well as set full screen / window mode. This is great, especially for light graphics. Only for light graphics. It's great as it allows, let's see, it allows the user to set a custom resolution and such upon startup config. Wonderful. We also have to move the GUI initialization back. Yeah, so because we can access the GUI library from Lisp, it means that the evaluated files at startup must have the GUI initialized. Unless we're in script mode and we're not starting the GUI, in which case don't write a script that tries to alter the window that doesn't exist in script mode. I should also add like a way to evaluate, because currently the entire text editor goes into script mode. But maybe it would be cool to have like a separate program that gets compiled, like with a different conditional compilation definitions. Let's just go ahead and push that to origin main and Codeberg main. Wonderful. We did it. We did some work. And it works. See, now I don't like because the window pops up and is white for, oops, everything just went away. I don't like the fact that the window is white and pops up early. So here's the thing. Can we make it? Right. When we create GUI, we say input focus, so it shows up. But what if we opened it in the background and then showed it only when we want to? That would be nice. That would be nice. At this point, Hail Mary for a system font. Because we ship with all these fonts. They're under the Apache 2.0 license, so we can ship with them. But if those don't work, we just go, well, I don't know. I don't know, dog. Good luck. Also, I think these should use change font now that this exists, instead of try open font. It's not really different. So, it's probably worth it. Then that means I don't have to have this. Should we just do that? I think we can just do that. Whoops, I screwed up a little bit. I meant to do that. That worked much better. think this is much better. I like how fonts are like, there's no solid place where you can find them. Like on Windows, it's hopefully here if they have Windows installed on the C drive and if they accept forwards. It's like there's so much that can go wrong. It's incredible. So you just have to search, like, is it in the current directory? Is it here? Is it here? What about here? 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 There's really no, you just have to keep trying till you find one that works. Or you don't find a font. Wonderful. Let's just make sure that all still works. It looks like it did. Let's change font to everybody's favorite, Arial. Yeah, beautiful. Look at that. If we wanted, we can go back to Droid Sans. We can go to Droid Sans Mono. We can go to Deja Vu Sans Mono. I should have it. There it is. Very similar. A little more rounded. Do I have like Natto? No. Open Sans. Nope. It works. That's all that matters. And we got rid of a bunch of code that we didn't need, so that's great. Yeah, look at that. Just gonna commit that and say like graphics SDL to unify font changing. That's good enough for me. Push that upstream, push that to Codeberg as well. And now we should be all caught up. Yeah. Wonderful. Little simpler, little simpler. So when we create the GUI, that's right. Here's what I was saying. How can we not see the window? Because we create the window. What if I just get rid of that? Right? Does that work? Does it not pop up on top? No, see, it still pops up. So there must be like a window hidden. I'm just gonna try it. I'm making stuff up, but hopefully it works. Well, it may have worked because I don't see the window popping up. I'm gonna open Task Manager, see what I can find. Is it running? Yep, so light.exe is running. Just not in a window. Okay. Just gonna end that task. Do some looking up. SDL window hidden. Perfect. Well, hey, this looks like exactly what I need. So when I enter light GUI, can't I show the window? I guess I would have to create like an API in GUI.h for that. That's fine. Right. I don't think that's what I need. So you can get window flags. Hey, this is where I was wondering how to query. Here's how we do it. Okay. Should probably add that at the bottom. Actually, yeah. Perfect. So STL create window takes in flags. Window is not visible. See, that's not, I mean, so maybe I just start minimized. Well, no, I'll just start not visible. That's fine to me. Then we can show the window when we start the GUI. I think that's fine. So let's go implement that. Hey, first time chat from a viewer, Tina, 10. I'm gonna call you Angel. Is that cool? It's okay. Awesome, awesome. How are you doing, Angel? What's going on with you? What made you stumble across this random programming stream? So, graphics window visible. I'm doing well. What are you working on? Thanks, Angel, for asking. I'm working on my text editor. So, if I just get this to a valid state, should be able to build it. So I have written a Lisp interpreter that is also a text editor. So if you don't, is it terminal based like Vim? No, it's actually graphical. So, oh, that's right. We have one thing going on that I didn't fix yet. Hello? Cool. Thank you, my guy or girl, gal, person, animal. Thank you, generic living being. So I forgot, we've been doing some experimenting with window visibility. And I think I changed the initialization. Yep. Are you using OpenGL? I'm using SDL right now, but it's actually platform agnostic, so I can use any graphical backend to implement the functions that I call. So here's the text editor. Here's Light. I'm going to open a new file and just showcase what it's like. So you can change how the text editor works as it's running with a custom programming language called Light Lisp. So you can change, let's say, the resolution of the window. So I pressed Alt-E to evaluate the current line, and now the window's bigger. Whoops, I just closed everything. But yeah, you can change the... It looks pretty. Ooh, thank you, my guy. I appreciate that. I took a lot of inspiration from the text editor I use every day, because I wrote this this color theme for Emacs, so it just copies that pretty much for now. So what we can do, we can like get the current window size, and if we evaluate that, you can see we get 1280 by 720. You can resize the window and it updates. Stuff like that. And yeah, it's just an all-around great text editor. It's very slow. You can highlight like sections. It's coming along. It's coming along. It's been some time. Is it open source? It is completely free and open source. If you want, I can link you the GitHub. But if we take a look at the license, it's actually under the MIT license. So you can do pretty much whatever you want with this, as long as you put my name on it. That's effectively what it says. So yeah, there's a whole lots of information in the README about how to write in light Lisp, how to make functions, what docstrings are, quoting, atoms, nil, types. Your GitHub social link is broken. Thank you, my guy. Like in Twitch. Let me see if I can go fix it. I use Arch, by the way. Yeah, it should be completely cross-platform. I test it on a Linux VM quite regularly, but you may have to go back a few commits to get it working. Because I don't test it every single commit since I'm on Windows. That link in chat should work while I get my while I get it up and running. All right. Creator dashboard. Is this where I go? Do I have to go to my channel? I never remember. Hello? Twitch, please. Okay, I made it. Ooh, it is broken. That's quite funny. It just links to github.com. There we go, social link updated. That should be fixed now. Thank you for letting me know about that. What's Lisp? Is it a programming language? Absolutely, it's a programming language. It stands for Lisp Interpretation. First time I've heard of it. That's interesting. It's the original programming language that created garbage collection. So any language that's garbage collected based on Lisp. It was created 64 years ago in 1958. So it kind of makes sense maybe why you haven't heard of it. It's pretty old, but I'm into old programming languages like Pascal, Lisp, Ada. They're all so much fun to write in. C, obviously. Yeah, Lisp works with symbolic expressions within lists. Can it be compiled? No, it's a runtime dynamic language. It can be compiled, but I just haven't written a compiler for my Lisp, if that makes sense. Thank you for the follow, Angel. That's amazing. I really appreciate that. Another crazy thing about Lisp is that it uses prefix notation. So the operator, when you want to do 2 + 2, it's not written like this. You actually put the plus before the arguments. So if we evaluate that, it's 4. Whereas if we try to do 2 + 2, it just doesn't work. Type error, because 2 is not a function that can be called. But it allows for amazing list processing, like very fast and efficient. You can implement parts of it in C called built-ins, which can then, obviously C is very efficient, or can be. So you can have very efficient code that runs in this runtime environment. It's very cool. And then you can also, of course, define new functions with defun. What's the train animation in the background? Great question, my guy, or girl, or person. There is basically something called zone in Emacs. And here, I think I have zone choose. So zone lets your text editor zone out. So if you don't touch your text editor for like, I have it set to 3 minutes, then one of these programs gets run. And one of them is zone program steam locomotive. So a steam locomotive comes through and it ruins your code that you're writing or whatever you're tech editing. There's a ton of them. So we can also like zone choose, let's choose rainbow. So sometimes this will happen if I zone out. I'm male, by the way. Thank you, my guy. It's a blessing to know. I appreciate you sharing so that I can feel more confident and not have to worry about getting canceled. Let's see, there's explode. Have all your text just kind of do this. But I like them because it lets me, like, if I get up from my computer, I like such things. Yes. I love such things. And you can write your own programs because these are all just different functions within Lisp in Emacs, which is also a Lisp-based text editor. It's where I got the idea. But I love Emacs so much. I just think it's a little, I don't know. I just wanted to create something like it because I didn't think I could. It seems like such a monumental task. Can I ask a question about pointers? You can ask any question anytime. I will do my best. I guess this doesn't need to return anything. Can I change a memory value by pointer address, like Cheat Engine? Like Cheat Engine, my guy. Yes, that's what pointers are for. Pointers wouldn't be useful if you could not dereference them, is what you're specifying. So let's take a look in a scratch buffer. So, I don't know. It's okay, my guy. You don't have to know. You're asking a question. So, in C, you can have a pointer denoted by the star, right? The asterisk. And that usually comes before your pointer. But the pointer has to point to a type in C. Your pointer is either a char pointer, right? And that could be called string. Or you could have an int pointer, and that could be called number, right? I gotta turn off company mode. So let's say you have a char pointer called string. This creates on the stack, right? We have stack-based Turing machines. So now you have size of char in this larger stack object, right? So you might have the first the function return address, right? Then you'll have the character on the stack, if this is in like main. So now you've created not a character, so it's not size of char, right? This will actually be size of a pointer, which is the size of a register. So a register on your CPU, that's how large a pointer is. So that will be stored on the stack right here. And if you don't initialize it, it'll just be set to uninitialized. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be 3 billion. It's just any ones and zeros that could be there. So let's say that we create a character, and this will see, we'll just call it A, and it'll equal the character A. So now we have a variable A bound to the character A, right? So now this char pointer string, let's just call it, well, we'll call it string for now. We're going to have it equal the address of A. So now this string refers to not the contents of A, but actually the address of A. So that would look like this. A char is 1 byte. So we'd have the function return address on the stack. We'd create A on the stack. Then we create string, which points to the memory address of A. But it's typed to be a char. So now this pointer would equal this stack address, right? So what we can do with this pointer then is say, all right, give me the char at the string, make it a character type, and I want to equal dereferenced the memory address. So when you see the star in front of a pointer, not in the declaration, in an actual expression, it will be evaluated and dereferenced, in which case this address is actually going to be used and read this type, the pointer type, from the address. So it'll go, okay, here's the address string, dereference it, which gets this memory here, but then how much memory does it read from there? It reads the size of a single char. So this is how you can have a pointer point back to the original value. And then you could say, what a lot of people get confused about is then you could say char at string equals b. Will this change anything? Will char a change by changing character at string? Because string is a pointer, it doesn't actually contain the value, it contains where the value should go. So by changing this value here, this character, char at string, will this original one change? It contains address. Yes, this would be the address of string. Right? Well, technically, this whole thing would be string, and this would be the address of A in memory. Which is also how variables work internally in the compiler. You just keep track of their name, A, and then their memory address, usually on the stack, unless it's some heap allocated thing. But hopefully that helps. And the answer is that this, can we change or read a value by pointer address from another program? Well, of course, my guy, it's just memory. But you have to learn about how OSs work if you want to deal with programs and multiple programs running at the same time. You're not dealing with programming like a program. You're dealing with interacting with an operating system. Because I've written an operating system. You can see in my GitHub. Right? But the thing is, programs don't have memory spaces that line up with each other. And even if they did, you wouldn't be able to know which program. And even if you could, you wouldn't know how that program's memory is laid out each time it runs. You know what I mean? Because most things nowadays are heap allocated, which means they're not on this stack at all. These memory addresses point to a custom region mapped, virtually mapped only for your program to a custom position in the OS's heap. It's a whole thing. I am going to have to get going here soon. But hopefully you are so knowledgeable. Bro, thank you. I really appreciate that. Hopefully I can pass some of it on to you, because I don't feel like I make great use of it. I just make a suicidal bot and dumb text editors that do things that Notepad does, right? And I get excited. I'm like, ooh, I can insert a new line now. It's like, text editors have done that for 70 years. I'm new to computer things. That's incredible. You're in an interesting place. You're in the deepest dive you could possibly make then. Because I am the not newest to computer things. I think ever since I was 3 years old, I've been on computers. I've been doing it forever. As far as I know. This is going to be easy. Whoops. Whoop. Broke things. There we go. But it's okay to be new at stuff. That's amazing. I wish I could be new at computers again. And learn, like, what is a Turing machine? What is the stack? What is the heap? Like, what are these words? They sound so fancy. But they're all just like, oh, there's about 5 things you gotta remember for computers. It's like, okay, so there's memory, there's addresses. Those are the same thing. Okay, and then there's a CPU, which really just works on the memory in different ways once you learn about it, using registers by loading sections of fixed memory into the CPU. It's so cool. It's all cool. I feel like I'm too knowledgeable. I'm too tainted to... I'm like a grumpy old man by now. We should be able to change this window's visibility. So if we open it as hidden, can we then... Whoa, you made an OS. Lenser OS. Absolutely. There's an O in there instead of an E, but my guy, you got it. It's not complete by any means. I'm still working on it. I've taken a few months of break because I kind of got burnt out. I worked on it for like 4 months straight, and then I was like, whew, I'm done. I need a break. Thank you, by the way, for checking it out. You're probably the first person to lay eyes on it, other than this one guy from Asia a few months ago. Literally. So, thank you. I really appreciate you looking at it. But yeah, I made a whole OS. It can it has multiple multi-processing, multiple programs can be run at the same time. They each get their own heap. There's user mode. Is it running in protected mode? Hell no. This is a 64-bit modern OS, and it's built on top of EFI. I heard such words. So protected mode is old, my guy. That's like a 20-year-old mode that computers used to run in. And that's also called 32-bit. Have you heard 32-bit? That's what protected mode is. And it's ass. You know what the max amount of RAM is? 4 gigabytes. What modern computer has less than 4 gigabytes of RAM? Not a single one. Protected mode is old. It's out. I hate when people say make new OSs and then they're like, but I'm gonna make it for 20-year-old computers. So is it in real mode? No, it's actually in long mode, my guy. Real mode would be 16-bit, Lamau. This ain't no BIOS shit. We don't make no BIOS calls. We don't even interact with the BIOS. Because there is no BIOS on modern computers. It's UEFI, my guy. Long mode. But yeah, UEFI boots you into long mode. So you don't even need to alter the CPU. I checked OS Dev Wiki. Oh yeah, I remember going there at the start, learning how programmable interrupt timer. Okay, what is this? It feels like a lifetime ago. So I gotta close this. Also, I don't know if you've seen it, but that Discord link down below, I make an announcement every time I go live so you can tell, hey, he's live. And you don't have to rely on Twitch's shitty algorithm based on what your follows. It's up to you though. You can also just hang out, chat, look at output from programs like the suicidal bot. There's a bunch of suicidal text in that in that Discord if you want to go check that out. Generated by a robot. Well, hey, it worked. I don't know. I didn't make it a Lisp built in. So I guess on startup. Oh, that's incredible. So now the window stays hidden. Whoops. Now the window stays hidden until we actually enter the GUI. And also I think we can do that here even. To save even more. I'll join. Angel, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining that Discord. You get a shout out, my guy. Shout out Angel. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it looks like Tinan Gel, or Tina Angel, or Tin North American Angel. There's a lot of options. But shout out to them. Are you using NeoVim now? Angel is okay. Got you, got you. Great question. Obviously this is my text editor. This is Light. We've been talking about that. This is Windows Terminal. So this is actually new shell, if you're asking about this program. So this is like ls, cat, that stuff. Then I run Emacs as my text editor, my daily driver. This is what I'm working to replace with my text editor. Emacs is like a 50-year-old program made by the AI Research Lab at MIT. And they're actually the people who created the MIT license. So I really agree with everything these guys do. Like, they make the GNU Foundation, the Free Software Foundation. Without those people, I probably wouldn't be alive today. Are you in MIT? No, I really appreciate the sentiment, my guy. I'll never... I think to go to college, you have to finish high school, is the problem. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not a smart man. I'm a simple folk, okay? So now the window's hidden. Okay, I alt-tab during it, so that's probably my fault. We open it. Awesome. So now we no longer have a white flash. You are so smart, I think. Thank you, Angel. You might be the only one. It's just, I really appreciate what you're saying, though. I understand that I appear to know a lot of things, but I know a lot of things about, or a little bit about a lot of things, rather than a lot about a little. Like, Einstein was great at energy, conversion, and mass, and understanding that there has to be something there that gets equated. And he was really good at that one thing, and or maybe I'm silly. It's true. If you are, can we just both be silly together and pretend I'm smart? Because I'm okay with being silly. I'll be a silly boy. Am I a silly boy, Mom? Sorry, I'm going crazy. I do have to go soon. I've been having so much fun with you, Angel, but time is approaching. I was supposed to go at 11, but this is so much more fun than what I have to do. So I'm pushing everybody else back. Like, I'm streaming. One sec. Real life responsibilities. Okay, so this, I don't think, is this everything? This must be everything. Cool. Oh, I'm glad we can laugh together, Angel. So this would be graphics, sort of just graphics in general, because we implemented it in SDL, but change window visibility is in GUI.h, which would be every graphical library. How old are you, by the way? I'm 19. I'd turn 20 in 3 months. I feel ashamed. I feel like a 10-year-old in a 19-year-old's body. Like, my brain is not developed, I don't think. I've just realized that I have 2 hands. And I'm like, oh, I can use both of them at the same time. This is incredible. Okay, so graphics. No longer flash uninitialized. You are much older than me. I'm 16. You'll be surprised how fast those 3 years go, my guy. I promise. I was 16. It feels like last week. But then again, I'm just an old man. Uninitialized graphical window. Hooray. we're gonna give it a hooray, because I don't know what else to put in this commit message. The title kind of says it all. I'm gonna do that. All I can say is that if you're 16 and you're on Twitch and watching programming, you're on a good track in life. I was not doing that at 16. I was doing much worse stuff. That was much worse for me and other people. So you're going to be a productive member of society, my guy. I promise. You're like going to be Giga Chad. I promise. Because it's not everybody that's here learning how pointers work from some random guy on the internet, right? That's just you. Oh, feels so good to laugh together. Okay, so we did this. So we're now unmerged. Let me just make sure. I think it was just the 4 files. Yeah. Okay, so now I need to push to upstream and Codeberg, please. Hello? Uh-oh. Emacs might have crashed. Hello? Oh, nope, and we're back. Hooray. There's just a big pause there where nothing, no button I pressed did anything. Okay, once we get this committed, we're going to probably end the stream soon here. I gotta go. Why are you using Windows, by the way? Great question. Basically, I have years worth of data from my childhood, all encrypted in NTFS Windows file systems. And the NTFS drivers on Linux are actually kind of scary. They have reports of like deleting volumes. And for important data that's like 10 years old and irreplaceable, it's just ext4 is fine, I think. You're right. But I have data currently, like I have terabytes of data in NTFS, and I just don't want to transfer terabytes of data into a new file system just to transfer to Linux. I'm like, it makes my toes curl. It's too hard. Not it's too hard. It's easy to click the button. It's too risky. There's 10 years of data that I don't want to delete. I've already had data loss. It's horrible. But it's easy. And there's no difference between Windows and Linux. They're both just different OSs. The only difference is the syscalls you have to make, which is like, if you're dealing with syscalls, you're probably writing your own OS, so it doesn't really matter at that level. And with the Windows subsystem for Linux, you can actually run Unix native on Windows, so it all works out. Like for the OS, I have a Windows native toolchain I build even, so it's not like it's that much harder. I'm just an open source fanboy. My guy, you and me both. I love open source. Emacs is free and open source under the GNU GPL v3. I'm totally into licenses. I love learning about all the differences. I love when new ones come out. Like Apache v2 was sweet for fonts. Like I love fonts that are under Apache v2. I think I kind of hate the SIL for fonts. The SIL for fonts kind of ruins things. It's like, it makes everything so much work. Each font has to have its own license and every contributor has to be listed. It's like, this sucks. But my guy, we both love open source. I just, I don't think it's a reason to risk my entire life's worth of data just to go, oh, but I like open source. And I can't afford to like build another computer, download Linux on that, and then transfer data from this computer to that computer, or one hard drive at a time is what I'd have to do. But then I'd have to back up each hard drive as I unplug it, and it would require like hundreds of dollars of equipment just to transfer to Linux. And I'm like, I'd rather not spend the hundreds. This is awesome. Thank you so much for checking out what I do. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining the Discord. You'll be able to see me go live probably tomorrow. either working more on this text editor, improving the suicidal AI that we wrote from scratch, or, just generally getting into treble. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Check out that Discord link down below. Go chat. Find friends. Peace.